I'm going to come at an angle on leadership, from an angle you're probably not used to hearing. So take a minute, take 10 seconds to ask yourself, be honest with yourself. Are you a leader or are you a manager? Think about your position, think about what you're doing, thinking about what you may be achieving or not be achieving or want to achieve, and ask yourself the question, am I a leader or am I a manager? Take a minute, take a second. I'm giving you the scaled down version of something I gave to about 350 pastors. I'm a council member, but I'm also executive director of Los Angeles Southern Baptist Association. And so what does that mean? That means I'm not a pastor over a flock in a church. My flock are pastors who are supposed to be leaders. And I have the pleasure of telling them 98% of you are not leaders, you're managers. That's why your churches aren't growing. That's why you're dissatisfied with your life. That's why you are in burnout. That's why things aren't going the way you thought they were going to go. Because you're trying to manage your way out of hard situations and you can't do that. The difference between a manager and a leader is managers lead people. No, leaders lead people, managers lead things. Now, nothing wrong with being a manager. We need managers. But for an organization to thrive, you need someone at the helm who's not worrying about being liked. See, managers want to be liked. And that's okay. But leaders are concerned about, are we there yet? Leaders are concerned about, where are we going? Leaders are concerned about, how did we get in this mess? Leadership is a lonely place because most people don't want to be leaders, because when you're a leader, you know you're a leader because you're going to get attacked. People don't like what you want to do because you think outside the box. Most people are inside the box thinking, well, we just want everybody to be happy. That's fine. But when it comes to leadership, you're not going to make everybody happy. Because your organization, whatever it might be, you're trying to take it from point A to point B, and you're going to have to make some tough decisions, and some people might fall by the wayside. But you might realize the people that you have in position doing things aren't doing anything, and you have to make the hard leadership call to get them out. And we don't want to do that. But then we complain about our organization isn't growing. We complain about it can't get anything done. We complain about this, we complain about that, we know what we like, we don't know what's going on. If you are a leader, you are visionary. You walk into a room and you walk into an organization, you walk into a meeting like this, you're looking for leadership. You're looking for direction. You're looking for, where are we going? What are we doing? Why are we doing it? There's that currency there. Currency means value. And they're creating value for the people of the organization that are there. As a football coach, part of his job is to create leaders in these men. Show them how to be leaders, not just how to tackle, not just how to do things. I was a track coach for a number of years. Yeah, I taught them the X's and O's, but the big part of my job was raising them up to be leaders. So we don't do a good job of that. Managers are stationary. And again, nothing wrong with being a manager. If you are a manager, you are vital in your organization. Because once leadership says, this is direction, this is where we're going to go, this is where the product is going, now it takes solid managers to get that product to market. But it's the leader that says, this is how we're going to do it. There's a small little book that's probably still in print. You can probably find it on Amazon. It's called Lincoln on Leadership. a book about Abraham Lincoln on leadership. And one of the things in there is that during the Civil War, he was losing badly. He was, if you're a student of history, you realize that the North was losing the beginning of that war. And so what did he do? He kept firing generals because he could not find a general to do what he wanted them to do. They all said, well, I'm the general, I know what to do. But they were forgetting one thing. Abraham Lincoln was the leader. So he kept firing them until he found Ulysses S. Grant, who said, yes, sir, this is what we'll do. And automatically, I mean, instantly, everything changed. That's what leaders do. You know what happened to Abraham Lincoln, right? Man, he got shot. Right? That's what happens to any leader in any organization. They get shot. People take shots at them. Because they see what you don't see, they hear what you don't hear, they do what you're not willing to do. So that's why I said, think about your position. Are you a leader? Are you a manager? Nothing wrong with being a manager. But if you are the head of an organization and you are trying to manage that organization with people, it's not going to go anywhere. Because what do people say when someone is trying to get them to do something they don't want to do? You're controlling me. I don't like the direction this is going. I don't like what you're saying. I don't like this. I don't. And they're complaining. Leaders find a way to get them to understand this is what we're doing. This is where we're going. This is how we do it. And it takes work. And you're going to get people are going to take shots at you. But in the end, it's worth it. Because your organization grows, your business grows, whatever it might be. But you have to get people to understand a title, for example, as a pastor. A title pastor doesn't mean I'm a leader. That's just a title. I now have to do things that qualify me as a leader. As a pastor, if I do not do leadership things within that congregation, within the organization, it will stay stagnant, it will not grow, and then I'll be looking for another job. Because these people just don't do what I tell them to do. This is what happens in our businesses. These people just don't do what I want them to do. You're not leading them. You lead people. You manage things. You manage your checkbook. You can't lead it to a bigger number. That's called fraud. Right? But you manage what you have. That's why managers are important. So when it comes to leadership, you have to create the value. You have to create the things within your organization to move forward. And you have to realize that you are a leader of people. You have to realize that you have a vision and that you have to cast that vision. So for example, if this was my organization, I was telling them, this is where we're at, this is where we want to go, but here's the steps. We're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. Is it going to be comfortable? No. Is it going to be hard? Yes. Are we going to have to look at ourselves and ask the hard questions? Are we really doing what we set out to do in the beginning, or are we just surviving? See, a lot of times organizations have a hold-on mentality. You know, it's like you're at the end of the rope, you tie a knot at the end of the rope and you're just hanging on. You're just swinging in the wind, you're waiting for something to happen, and it never happens because you're not leading it. You're trying to manage it. You can't manage your organizations. Because even in your family, you have to lead your family. Because if you don't lead your family, what happens? I remember when I was 16, I thought I was the smartest kid on the planet. I knew everything. I went out and started making some mistakes, and then all of a sudden I realized, wait a minute, maybe I'm not as smart as I think. Maybe mom and dad know something, right? So, you know, over the years I lost brain cells. Anyway, so every organization that I've been a part of, at some point during my tenure there, I've been in a leadership position. And in the beginning, I thought, well, hey, they just like me. And then I began to realize that I had developed leadership skills. I want to say this. Leaders are not born. There's nothing in anybody's DNA. There's not the leadership DNA gene. It's not there. Leaders are people that see a problem and are willing to work through the problem to get to a positive outcome. In other words, you're willing to raise up and say, I got this football team, I got this football team that didn't win any games last year. These guys don't know how to block, they don't know how to tackle, they don't know how to pass, they don't know how to run, they don't know anything. But I'm going to work with them and I'm going to show them how to do it. I'm going to build confidence in them, I'm going to put strength in them. I'm going to show them the possibility. You see, with people, you have to show them the possibility. And once, it's like an election. All you got to get elected, all you got to do is get people to say, what if? What if I vote for this person? That's all you have to do. Because look at people that get elected and you say, why did we elect them in the first place? Because we said, well, what if I try this one? What if I try that one? But what if you try someone that's out of the box, that really has some leadership skills and does something? That's the person that moves the needle. And that's what leaders do. They move the needle, and what happens? A lot of people don't want the needle moved, even though they need the needle moved. So that's why you have to be real and honest with yourself. Are you a leader or are you a manager? And in your organization, maybe there's a leader and you're trying to hold them back because you're not comfortable with what they're doing. Yeah. As a pastor, we have a thing, Pastor Jack might be able to relate to this. We have a thing in church called the parking lot ministry. The parking lot ministry is where the people are now talking about you on their way home in the parking lot, saying, this guy don't know what he's doing, and that was a lousy message, and why is he telling me all these things? It's a parking lot ministry.
We call them bleacher.
Huh?
We call them bleacher.
Bleacher coaches. Exactly, it's the parents, and everybody has a little more than you do. And so you have to come into that organization with, I am the leader, I am the one who's going to get it done. Not that I'm going to push it down on you. Leadership is not top down, it's bottom up. In other words, you establish, these are our goals, and now you're pushing up on people. You're empowering them, helping them, rather than saying, do this, without any reason or any rhyme. Pretty soon what happens? They squeeze out the sides of the gun. Empower people from underneath. This is what our organization is. This is what we do. This is how we do it. This is where we're going. So if you're confident in knowing what you're going to do, then you get them to be confident in doing it. And then what happens is pretty soon, the ideas that you've been trying to give them, they come back to you like it's their idea. And that's okay. Because when they do that, don't get mad and say, I've been trying to tell you that for 14 years. Say, yes. You know you've done your job. They brought in. That's all you have to do. Hey guys, that's an opportunity to, instead of making 30 years of mistakes and then doing 20 years of good stuff, you got the opportunity to do 50 years of good stuff. By understanding, am I a leader, am I a manager, what am I doing, where am I going, how am I doing it? Again, a leader is someone who just sees the system and is willing to say we're broken. And this is how we're going to fix it. A manager will say, we're broken, and I don't know how to fix it. I'll leave you with this one. I was at a conference, church conference, Southern Baptist conference, and one of the leaders got up and said, last year in our organization, we had 700,000 baptisms. Now, if you're Southern Baptist, that's a big deal. Baptism, you're all about baptism. So everybody cheered, yay, 700,000. And then he says, but we lost 1.2 million people in our churches. And then there was just silence. And then he said, and I don't know what to do about it. I raised my hand. He said, yes. And I said, maybe it's time for you to resign. If you're willing to say you don't know how to fix it, you know, demand leadership. Don't demand managership. Demand leadership out of people that are in position to lead you. And don't be afraid to be a leader. It's lonely, it's tough, people aren't going to like you, but the end result is you do something that very few people can do. You change the whole dynamic. The last thing, you are, as a leader, you are visionary. You see the future. Managers are stationary. We got to take care of all of this. We can't. Managers are good, but when it comes to leadership, you're trying to move the needle. So you see the future. You see where it needs to go, and now you have to take the steps. So you don't look sideways. You look up. You say, "This is where we're going. We have to do this." And if you don't, the organization is going to fail. And if you see it, guess what? You're the one. If you see it, you're the one. Now put yourself in that leadership position. Do the things that a leader would do. And guess what? You'll start getting promoted left and right because they see, this guy gets it done, this lady gets it done. She knows what she's doing. But you see, you have to take that step and be willing to take some shots, but be visionary. See the future. Set the goals, set the standard, and do it. And don't worry about failing. We all fail. What did Edison say? I learned how to not make a light bulb. X amount of time. But he finally learned how to do the light bulb. So that's what they did. We good? Give yourself a round of applause. Any questions? I don't take questions, but any questions? Any questions? Or if you want to see me afterwards about something, just let me know. You can do that. Yeah.
Question, you used the phrase, we've heard it, thinking outside of the box. As a council person, can you give us an illustration of what you thought outside the box for this?
Outside the boxes, we have a bunch of walls in our city that are crumbling. And those walls are owned by residents. And it's like, how are we going to now get all of these residents to fix their walls when they don't want to? When they bought a house and the real estate person didn't tell them, oh, by the way, if that wall crumbles, it's yours, it's not the city's. And they say, well, I don't have $50,000 to fix that wall. For city council member thinking outside of the box is, how do we as a city now overcome that and get those walls repaired, get things done, so that, it's a beautification issue, it's an infrastructure issue. How do we do that? So there's ways of doing it. You think outside the box of how you can get them to do it, motivate them to do it, or you say, okay, we're going to have to take it on ourselves, and now we have to come up with a plan on how we're going to take it on. So you look at a problem and you don't say, hey, well, that's just the homeowner's problem and walk away. You have to think outside the box and come up with transforming initiatives. That's what you do. You come up with a transforming initiative that changes the situation. And you work with the other council members and you're not afraid to pitch ideas and say, well, what if we did this? And as a matter of fact, we took one stretch on Santa Gertrudis and the city paid for a stretch of wall to be done. That's unheard of. And that's something that we might have to do, and I pitched that to the city manager, that we might have to spend the next 30 years rebuilding our walls one street at a time, one area at a time, taking the burden off the homeowner and putting it back on the city. So, stuff like that. Any
I was just going to add to what Councilman DeRuse said with the block walls. Just for those people that live in the city, we do also have a block wall loan program. So, some of those homes that are on major streets, if you know anybody and they have an issue, I'm actually in charge of that program, so, they can come see me.
Very good. Anything else? Okay. Thank you. Yes, Tim.
Now, you being as a person, you say, well, I'm a leader or I'm a manager, but how do you specifically determine who is which? I think that's the way to say it.
The person that keeps coming up with ideas. The person that keeps saying, here's the problem, we have a problem. See, if someone comes to me and says they have a problem, I say, okay, how are you gonna fix it? You see the problem, how are you gonna fix it? And if they come up with some ideas, I'm saying, this is somebody that's got some leadership skills that see, we might be able to move the needle here. If they just say, well, I don't know, right there, you're disqualified. I don't know, you're disqualified. But if you're willing to take the risk and say, well, I think maybe we should do this. Maybe we should do that. I mean, think about those people that are above you on the list. You know, sometimes it's a little daunting task to go to your superior and say, you've been doing it wrong. You have to find a way to say, you know, here's a problem. You know, I found this problem, and I think that if we do this, we could. So not only do you see the problem, you come with a plan to fix it. And if you come with a plan to fix something, and somebody sees that, they're going to say, yeah, let's run with it, because we all want success, right? So when you see success, you gravitate towards it. But when you see a stalemate, well, I don't know, and we can't this, or butting heads all the time, that doesn't work. You have to pray. So again, said a lot of things that are difficult to hear, difficult to say, but as a leader, you have to say them. You have to acknowledge it. You have to acknowledge, one time I was a manager, I didn't understand these things. And it's okay to be a manager. I'm not knocking managers. Managers are good, because without managers, your product doesn't get to market. You know, so, good?
But leadership and management applies not only in business, organization, but in your own family.
Yes.
Do you want to manage your family, or do you want to lead your family? I know for myself, I exercise with my children never to come with me with problems unless they have a solution. Because it's very easy to identify what the problem is or what's the solution. And I'm not really looking for an actual solution. I just want them to think outside the box to help them develop those leaders.
You have a podcast. You have a podcast that you don't listen to. Yes.
Yeah, I have a podcast. If you go on LASBA, L-A-S-B-A, on YouTube, you're gonna see it would pop up as a podcast. And what I do, I interview different people in our association, different leaders and stuff, and I try and bring out of them, what are you doing that's different? So that other people can see it and other people can hear it. So it's called the Los Angeles Southern Baptist Association podcast, and so we started doing that. And, so yeah, I don't tell people what to do. I try and find it, pull it out of them.
Steve, say a few words about what's coming up, the project we have, the community breakfast.
Oh, yeah, Mayor's Community Breakfast is going to be May 5th, I believe. It's first Friday in May. And again, it's kind of, some of you are at the state of the city, it's going to be the same place over there. And what it is, it's a chance for community to come together under the umbrella of the mayor is calling the community to come together. We're going to pray for our community, but the biggest thing is bring community together and find out that we have more in common, that we actually like each other, that we can work together, and that we can do things together, and that if Rotary and Kiwanis ever get together, we can put that one plan together. Watch out, it's coming. You know. So it's just things like that, but it's going to be the first Friday, and we'll hear more about it. It's going to be a breakfast thing, and our theme is going to be community in crisis. So Sheriff Conti's going to come and we're going to talk about, because we know the fires and the crisis, how does the community respond in time of crisis, and it takes leadership. And you saw the failures, thanks for bringing this up, you saw the failures in LA? These are the managers. You didn't have leaders there. And now everybody's pointing fingers at everybody else. Well, it was this person, it was that person. The leader would have said, no, it was my fault. We're not gonna let that happen again. That's the difference. Look for leadership, look for managers. When they're in that position of authority, man, you better hope they're leaders, because if they don't, it's gonna come, it's gonna come with that.
Thank you. And the city of La Mirada has great leadership. Thank you. Network, enjoy